This book led to a revolution. This one got its author exiled. And this one sparked a global death sentence. These books were so dangerous that governments, religions, and dictators hunted them down, and some even killed to keep you from reading them. But that didn't stop their words from spreading. Today we're unlocking 12 banned books that changed the course of human history and why the world's most powerful people tried to make them disappear. The Satanic Verses, 1988. This novel nearly got its author killed. When The Satanic Verses hit shelves in 1988, it wasn't just fiction. Salman Rushdie blended magical realism with bold reinterpretations of Islamic history, including a dream sequence scene as mocking the Prophet Muhammad. That single passage triggered chaos. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, issued a fatwa calling for Rushdie's death. Within weeks, over a dozen countries banned the book. Riots erupted in Pakistan. Bookstores in London and California were bombed. Rushdie's Japanese translator was murdered. Another was stabbed in Italy. Rushdie disappeared into police protection for nearly a decade. And in 2022, the threat returned when a man stabbed him on stage in New York. The Satanic Verses became a battlefield for free speech, religion, and fear. Even today, it's still restricted in many countries. But Rushdie wasn't the first to terrify the establishment with ink and paper. Our next book didn't just offend rulers, it helped bring an empire to its knees. Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe. This book was called dangerous by slave owners and sacred by abolitionists. When Uncle Tom's Cabin hit shelves in 1852, it didn't read like politics. It read like pain. Harriet Beecher Stowe gave slavery a human face. Mothers torn from babies, lashes cutting flesh, families begging for freedom. Americans didn't debate slavery anymore. They felt it. The South saw the threat immediately. Bans swept across the Confederacy. In Virginia, owning a copy could get you arrested. In South Carolina, distributing it came with fines. Because once readers saw enslaved people as people, the system cracked. The North responded with urgency. Over 300,000 copies flew off shelves in 1 year. And when Abraham Lincoln met Stowe during the Civil War, he reportedly told her, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war." That quote may be myth, but the revolution wasn't. Uncle Tom's Cabin changed the American conscience. One book cracked the foundation of slavery with moral force alone. The next book, it whispered taboos so provocative, entire countries pretended it didn't exist. Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov. Published in 1955, Lolita was never meant to be easy to read. It tells the story of a grown man obsessed with the wrong person. The shock wasn't just the subject. It was how beautifully Nabokov wrote it. Readers were drawn into the unsettling perspective of an unreliable narrator. France banned it fast. So did the UK, Argentina, New Zealand, and South Africa. In the US, publishers hesitated, and libraries kept it off shelves. Many saw it as nothing more than polished filth. But Lolita didn't disappear. It forced society to confront its own discomfort, blurring the line between art and exploitation. Today, it's studied as a masterpiece and still sparks debate. Should something this twisted be in classrooms? Or is that the point? Well, if one man's obsession could disturb the soul, imagine a book designed to reshape the entire world. A book that didn't whisper rebellion, it shouted it. The Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Only 23 pages long, but governments treated it like a ticking bomb. The Communist Manifesto, released in 1848, wasn't a theory paper. It was a battle cry. Marx and Engels gave the working class a roadmap and the elite a reason to panic. Its core message? History is a war between classes. No reform, no compromise. It demanded the end of private property, the fall of capitalism, and revolution by any means. Germany exiled its authors. Russia made possession a crime. Across Europe, it was banned, burned, and buried under police files. And yet it spread anyway, through whispers, smuggled pages, and urgent voices on factory floors. The more they tried to erase it, the louder it echoed. By the 20th century, it had helped ignite revolutions, topple empires, and birth entire regimes. Even today, its words still ripple through protests and political debates. But what happens when the banned book isn't political? It's painfully personal? A diary hidden in an attic that governments still try to silence. The Diary of Anne Frank, edited by Otto Frank. Anne Frank's diary records 2 years of life in hiding from the Nazis. She wrote about fear, family, hunger, hope, and the creeping war outside their attic walls. It's intimate, it's raw, and that's exactly why some tried to silence it. Otto Frank, Anne's father, published it after the war, but even then edits were made. Some countries objected to her honesty about puberty. Others called it too bleak for young readers. In Lebanon, it was banned for portraying Jews with sympathy. In parts of the US, parents called it too graphic. In Japan, far-right groups vandalized dozens of copies. Why? Because the book strips away statistics and gives war a face. A girl with dreams, humor, and hope, gradually erased by fascism. And if that felt heavy, the next book was banned for the exact opposite reason. Too much desire, too little restraint. A novel so explicit, it shattered courtroom norms. Lady Chatterley's Lover, D.H. Lawrence. This one didn't need guns or politics to terrify governments. It used lust. Published privately in 1928, Lady Chatterley's Lover was banned for decades in the UK, the US, Canada, and Australia, almost everywhere English was spoken. Why? Because D.H. Lawrence wrote openly about female pleasure, infidelity, and class boundaries in explicit detail. But it wasn't just lust. It was the idea that passion could tear down social walls. That's what really scared people. Power shifting through desire, not revolution. In 1960, Penguin Books dared to publish the uncut version in the UK. The government took them to court. What followed was a historic obscenity trial. Writers defended it, scholars debated it, Penguin won. The verdict opened the floodgates. Lady Chatterley's Lover became a symbol of sexual freedom and literary defiance. And if that book fought class with love, the next one waged war with pigs, flags, and a very dangerous allegory. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Forget fairy tales. This was a revolution told through talking animals, and it got Orwell banned across the Soviet bloc. Animal Farm may look like a fable, but it's a razor-sharp attack on Stalinist Russia. The pigs, the commandments, the collapse of equality. It's all a metaphor for how revolution twists into tyranny. The animals rise up for freedom, only to fall under Napoleon's rule, which mirrors Stalin's grip on the USSR. That's why it was banned across Soviet territories and communist states. It exposes the ugly truth that power corrupts faster than any ideology can save. The West embraced it as Cold War ammo, but Orwell didn't take sides. He warned that all systems rot from within if left unchecked. And that haunting line, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others, it still hits like a punch to the chest. And if Orwell angered Moscow with animals, his next book removed the masks completely. No more allegory, no more farms, just a brutal vision of the future where freedom dies quietly. 1984, George Orwell. George Orwell's 1984 imagines a future where control isn't enforced with bullets. It's built into the fabric of life. Cameras in your room, thought police reading between your words, history rewritten daily, language reduced until rebellion becomes unspeakable. The book was banned in the Soviet Union on sight. It mirrored Stalinist tactics too closely. Forced confessions, endless war, total obedience. In the West, schools pulled it during times of unrest. Even free nations got nervous. That reaction only proved Orwell's point. When fiction feels like a threat, it's because it reflects something real. 1984 didn't just warn about censorship. It predicted how tech could police thought, how fear could be engineered, and how truth could vanish if rewritten often enough. And if Orwell warned us about the future of surveillance, this next book shows what it feels like to live through it, through the eyes of a rebellious girl in a regime that watched everything. Persepolis. Marjane Satrapi. Persepolis is a memoir told through stark black and white comic panels. It follows a young Marjane growing up in post-revolutionary Iran, where her love of punk rock, denim jackets, and uncensored thought put her at odds with an oppressive regime. Through the eyes of a child, we witness public executions, secret parties, and the crushing weight of religious extremism. Iran banned the book immediately. Officials called it anti-Islamic and misleading. But Persepolis didn't attack Islam. It attacked hypocrisy, the kind that uses faith as a weapon to silence women, erase history, and demand obedience at the cost of truth. The U.S. wasn't innocent either. Some American schools restricted Persepolis for its depictions of torture and war, proving that censorship isn't unique to any one nation. Yet the book found life in translation after translation, becoming a global voice for the voiceless, especially young women raised under authoritarian rule. Persepolis exposed oppression in black and white ink, but the next book warned about a future where no one noticed they were being controlled because they were too busy being entertained. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. Brave New World pictured a world where no one needed chains. People were engineered, sedated, and kept distracted with pleasure. No war, no poverty, but also no love, no family, no meaning. It was banned in countries like Ireland for promoting drug use, casual sex, and blasphemy. US schools pulled it out too. But Huxley's real crime wasn't shock, it was accuracy. He warned that comfort, not violence, would kill freedom. That's when people have constant pleasure. They stop asking questions, and that's the twist. If society gives you everything you want, do you still notice what you've lost? Today, in an age of dopamine and distraction, Brave New World reads like a warning we ignored. But if Huxley's world dulled the senses, the next book set them on fire. It was raw, vulgar, and it exploded everything polite society tried to hide. Tropic of Cancer, Henry Miller. Set in the shadows of Paris, Tropic of Cancer wasn't a novel in the usual sense. It was raw thought, unfiltered and unapologetic. Lust, poverty, art, obsession, no metaphors, no censorship, no mercy. The US banned it instantly. Customs seized it. Libraries refused to stock it. Owning a copy could get you arrested. But for writers like Kerouac and Ginsberg, it was sacred, a literary middle finger to repression. In 1961, Grove Press published it in the US, triggering a landmark Supreme Court case that redefined obscenity laws and helped ignite the sexual revolution. It wasn't about taste, it was about freedom. And if Tropic of Cancer exposed the body, the next one targeted the soul. It's the most widely distributed book in human history, and yet in some places, owning it is a crime. The Bible, various authors. It's the most printed, most translated, and most circulated book in human history, but in dozens of countries, the Bible is treated like contraband. This ancient collection of texts has shaped civilizations, laws, and moral codes for millennia. Yet despite its influence, or perhaps because of it, governments across time have tried to silence it. Communist regimes like the Soviet Union and Mao's China banned it outright, fearing its power to unite and inspire. Even today, countries like North Korea, Saudi Arabia, and parts of the Maldives consider owning or distributing a Bible a criminal offense. Why? Because the Bible doesn't just teach faith. It teaches resistance, identity, and the concept of a higher law. And that terrifies those who want complete control. It challenges the idea that the state is the highest authority. And that message is more dangerous than any weapon. Underground networks smuggled it across borders. Prisoners etched verses on walls. In some regions, people memorize entire books of it. In secret, because to hold a physical copy could mean death. Censorship couldn't stop it. And banning it only made people wanted more. 12 books, 12 rebellions, 12 moments when ideas threatened empires. And here's the twist. This list, it's still growing. If you found even one of these stories wild, you haven't seen anything yet. There are hundreds more banned, erased, or hidden texts waiting to be uncovered. So which one shocked you most? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to keep digging into books they never wanted you to read, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and stay curious.